Hell no. 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 Not so stressful. Last couple of years have been stressful. It's all fun out. I like the colors good. Strike. Okay. Okay, thanks. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilman Robert? Yes. Sorry. Councilmember Morganelli?
Here.
Councilmember Hartle?
Here.
Vice Mayor Womack? Here. And Mayor Wynkoop.
Here. Would you mind doing the prayer, please?
Will you join me in a prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the ability that we have to have a town. We have it structured the way we do, and those who participate in our political process. We ask tonight that you give us a clear mind and heart as to what the agenda issues are, that we'll be truthful and honest in our opinions and our thoughts, that we can be expressive in a positive way. Thank you for the residents of our town, and I ask a continuous hedge of protection around our town and our residents. We want to lift up those who are in physical, spiritual, and financial need in our town, and ask that you reach out to them and touch those families in a special way that only you can do. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Emma. All right, see, the very first thing is going to be, if you would please read 2025-182.
Doing well.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, granting minor site plan approval to Parque Verde LLC for an outdoor storage business for boats, RVs, and trailers, providing for conditions and providing for an effective date.
I'm going to have to recuse myself on this one because I have a personal interest in it. I'm going to have to recuse myself from this one.
Oh, it's working. Never mind.
Something else is broken.
Gotta push the button, Joe.
A conditional use permit was approved by this council in March of this year, and a minor site plan is required for the owner to move forward. It has to be consistent with the conditional use permit that you approved, as well as the land development code. It is a quasi-judicial action, so you're applying the site plan in front of you to what your conditional use permit allowed, as well as the land development code regulations. It's not, so it's based on what you have in front of you or any evidence that's presented. If you've had outside conversations concerning this matter, because it is quasi-judicial, you would have to disclose that. And then I think Mr. Parks or Ms. Busto is going to give the staff report.
Yes, thank you, Anita. The applicant, Mr. Grant Roberts, is seeking approval of the minor site plan that's required for the conditional use permit, as Anita just mentioned. Staff recommends approval if the remaining outstanding items required in the Land Development Code and the conditions for approval of Resolution 2023-85 are met. We've reviewed the submittal and feel that everything has been addressed with the exception of a to-scale drawing, but the applicant has done his very best to get it to scale and is awaiting a to-scale drawing from the surveyor, and that should be coming in any day now. What you're looking at here is the proposed parking area, and there's 50 parking spots. The name of his business is going to be Parque Verde LLC, and it's an outdoor uncovered storage area for boats, RVs, and trailers. The parking area is not going to be paved. The material will be either gravel or lime rock, crushed lime rock. Mr. Roberts has provided the traffic circulation as requested. It's a one-way loop around the parking area, and the parking will be done by back-end parking. And Mr. Roberts has provided, this is the wetland delineation, and he's providing a 50-foot buffer, vegetative buffer between the parking area and the wetland line. And this exhibit shows the wetland line with an overlay of the parking area, so you can see how that's nestled in there. And the applicant is available to answer any questions you might have.
So the staff has, or the team has said to go ahead with it?
We approve, yes.
Okay. You want to add anything, Paul?
As Lisa mentioned, we've approved it for consistency with the land development codes and the conditional use permit that was approved by town council. Staff would recommend approval because it is meeting all the conditions that he's required to do at this point.
Yeah, we would just like to have that to-scale drawing when it's available.
I'm sorry?
We would just like to have the to-scale drawing when it becomes available from the surveyor.
And that will kind of go with the construction permit, so we can just make sure everything is from the wetlands when it goes for construction. You'll pull a construction permit at that time, we'll need that.
Alrighty.
And we'll verify it in the field as well.
Yeah. You guys will? Okay. Alrighty, I'll open it up to the public. Anybody want to talk to about this? Come on up. Alright, I'll bring it back to council. Need some discussion. Anybody have anything you want to add?
I had asked in reference to a barrier, and that's going to be the green dotted line, correct?
Yes, Mr. Morganelli. The green dotted line, the applicant's going to provide a shrub barrier as required in the CUP. That's to keep the vehicles from entering out of the designated parking areas. Then the red barrier, or the red dotted line you see, is the environmental swell that is also required as a part of the CUPs. That just shows you the swell will be built to catch any pollutants or anything that may run off into that. Before, and that has to be 50 feet from the, or excuse me, it can be up to the wetland line, but he's keeping it closer to the parking area, which also will create a buffer.
Okay, and then I had a question in reference to the insurance. Can you?
Yes.
Okay. Has he provided that, or what point does that get provided?
Sure. The conditional use permit requires the applicant to provide liability insurance, and that is a condition that will be fulfilled before a certificate of completion is issued for operation.
Okay, thank you.
That's good. Alan, Carol, anything?
Paul, can you, on the wetland B map that's up there, to the left of the green dotted line and the red line, there's the black line. I'm assuming that's the old, used to be like a ditch running through there, correct?
I don't know that for sure. Maybe the applicant can come up and answer that, if that's okay.
So that's a 15-foot right-of-way. So it's a mix between the town and the county that owns the right-of-way there. Got it.
Can everybody hear him? If you can't hear somebody, just raise your hand so I can tell them to speak up. Can you speak up?
And I apologize, council, anybody come up to speak. We've been having some feedback issues because now all the stuff is out of here. We got to recalibrate everything, so you will have to speak louder into your mics, and we'll get that fixed before the next meeting.
Did the staff report have anything to say about that right-of-way county city mix thing? County's good with it, correct, Paul? Or
It's
yeah.
yeah, it's really not relevant. It's kind of a right-of-way easement through there. At some point, we'll probably work with Mr. Roberts and the county to see what we can do to clean that up. So I think it's just a 15-foot right-of-way that's kind of splitting the two properties. It was probably an old right-of-way line at the time of platting for access.
It would only become an issue if it was needed for some reason for him. It could be an issue. But.
All right, that's all I had questions on. Thank you, sir.
What's the procedure, like, a year from now, if we want to walk on there and start measuring everything, we have the right to do that? Make sure it's correct?
Yeah, I can answer that. So in the conditional use permit, there's a procedure in there where the town manager can enter the property to inspect the property to make sure he's fulfilling the conditions of that permit.
And is that renewed every 2 years?
The permit is valid until such time it's revoked or a
Okay.
different use is brought.
Okay,
I
I'm
think
thinking the
I think
old
it stays
ones.
with ownership as well.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm good.
For you to check on the property, it's required 24-hour notice, though, correct?
I believe that's correct on the permit, correct.
So I'm looking for a motion to approve, motion to deny. Any other comments?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 182 as presented.
I have a motion to approve. Need a second.
So second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Move on to the next one, if you wouldn't mind, please, to read Resolution 2025-179.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, granting preliminary development plan approval for a 137 single-family lot residential subdivision generally located north of Osgood Road, east of County Road 455, and west of Lake Apopka within the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida, and providing for an effective date.
All righty, this one's pretty beat to death already, but I'm going to open it up to the public. Anybody like to talk about this one? Come on up.
Michael Whitten, 17635 Broad Street. I think I can speak up. Go ahead. Mike Whitten, 17635 Broad Street. I guess my question is, during the construction, you're going to have 8th, 9th, and Temple. Am I correct? Anybody?
Correct. Those are the streets to the subdivision.
So once they start construction, when will they redo the roads right there? I mean, are we going to tear them up during construction, a new road, or are we going to wait till redo those roads after the bulk of the construction has been done as far as site work?
I personally would think we would wait till after it's done, so we could have brand new roads.
Right.
No, what do you guys think?
Yeah, some of that we're utilizing. Obviously, the developer is paying for the safety improvements on the roads. We're also utilizing to make improvements to 455 and 8th, 9th, and Temple. We're going to be utilizing some Shafi grant money for that as well. So there may be some time limitations on when those roads can get done. So it just really depends on how the developer, how fast and how many phases he does on the developments going forward.
Oh, that's true, yeah. There's time
so-
limits on some of our money.
Yeah, I can't really, mix a sequence because we're hoping to use those funds as a stepping stone to mix with some other.
Once it's been-
Correct.
So is there going to be a dedicated construction entrance as far as
Broad Street.
you're going to get my vote?
Oh, you live on that, huh?
We'll coordinate with the developer. Obviously, we'll probably pick a street for them to work down, for certain periods. And it
Right.
probably, again, comes to the phase of construction. If more than likely, it's probably going to be 8th or 9th Street would be one of the two roads that they'll end up coming down just for access and ease.
Thank you.
We'll have some more information as we move along a little further in the process.
Anybody else like to talk to the council about this one? You didn't bring the family this time.
No.
Come on.
Christian, 17701 8th Street. So I've been up here before speaking about this. I still feel that there's still some unresolved issues, and we're kind of getting ahead with this development. If you guys could clarify, what does preliminary mean? Is there another stage after that?
Can you
Sure.
answer that, Paul?
Yeah, I can answer. So the applicant has gone through the zoning process, the PUD process, where the development was approved, basically. And this stage is making sure the lots and the stormwater and all the other features are consistent with the town's land development code, with the preliminary development plan, and also with the comp plan. So we're looking to make sure the lots are the sizes they're supposed to be. There appears to be adequate detention, that the road sizes meet the town's codes. Then the next stage they go to is the engineering plans. Then they'll go into a final development plan. So where we get into the details, and that's where the attorneys and mainly our town engineer works with them in great detail to make sure they're meeting all the criteria, that PUD, the comp plan, and the town's land development code.
Okay, so are there still opportunities for residents to offer suggestions for this development, for the developers, what they presented?
I'll let Anita and Sean maybe ask this. From my understanding, the basis of review is this site plan consistent with the PUD, the town's land development code, and the comp plan. And I believe staff, our engineers, staff, attorney, planning have reviewed it, and they do believe it is meet the criteria in those and have recommended approval for this. Of course, we will take comments at future phases on some things where it's available, but there's a limited amount of review in each stage of what we're reviewing this. We're not reviewing if they should have the development that has been approved. What the council is reviewing is this development consistent with those three things.
Okay, how long do you think this process will take to get to the final development stage?
That's completely up to the developers and their market and their engineering studies. I don't know. Maybe they can answer that at some point. Last I heard, they were starting to work on the engineering plans. So that could be anywhere 3 to 6 months, but I don't know their schedule.
Okay. Has there been any estimate on how long this will take, the construction will take?
I probably would ask the developers here when you're done to come up and answer some of those questions, because I don't want to give false information out or information I don't have an answer to. I don't think that's fair to you.
Okay, thank you. So to kind of pull from the last town council meeting, town hall meeting, and its relevance to this year, it came to my attention that Montverde is facing or will be facing a water shortage. And I overheard that there were some various options that were laid out. I looked at the website because this was new to me, but it looks like the town is considering the Floridian aquifer, the Upper Floridian aquifer, as a source of fresh water, drinking water.
So we currently get all of our water, 100% of our water comes from the Upper Floridian now. We're evaluating the Lower Floridian aquifer, and it's mainly the irrigation use that's causing an issue. So we have plenty of potable water. There's never a time we don't have water in the system. What DEP looks at is they look at the maximum worst case day where everybody's irrigating, everybody has their water on, and there's a 2-hour fire flow. When we get into those 2-hour fire flows, we're not critical, but we're at the point where we need to add water. And luckily, this council, working with our staff and our engineers, we were able to get nearly a $13 million grant to build a new water tower and possibly 2 new wells that will go in, and that'll be happening within the next 18 months.
Which grant will you be using?
It's called Shafi.
Okay, that's a common one. I've heard that before.
Yeah, correct. It's a hurricane resilient grant, and it's currently at DEP for approval. Once we get that, we'll be hopefully going out to bid by the end of the year.
Okay, is that an annual grant?
No, it's a one-time, probably never happen again grant.
Okay. Was that grant being considered for the wastewater management system?
That's actually that was a clean water grant, and all that money, which is just under $20 million, got moved over for stormwater projects, which is going to allow us to redo basically all of 455.
Okay. Is there any other consideration for that wastewater treatment facility?
None that I'm aware of. Let council answer
No.
that. They instructed me to say that
Sewer's
there's
a dirty
nothing
word.
at this point.
I'm sorry?
Sewer's a dirty word.
Sewer's a dirty word. Okay. So going back to what you were mentioning, that we currently use the Upper Floridian aquifer. My understanding is that the water that gets to that aquifer is not only the Lake Apopka, but also the Lake Apopka Basin. So that's going to be a lot of what the land that we stand on and the land of which Osgood will have those new homes. If the septic tanks are going to be there, won't that negatively impact the aquifer?
The groundwater level, which that water when it's treated water, and it is treated like a wastewater treatment plant, so it's a high level of quality, so it's a lot better than what the current septics are doing in the area, and our wells are pretty low in the system. So I'm not a engineer that could state there'll never be anything, but I don't think there's anything. Sean might have a better answer from the environmental standpoint on that. I don't foresee anything that would
Well,
happen.
let me help you with that. Montverde has no say in septic, sewer, or whatever. DEP makes all the decisions for us on what they can do. They don't apply to Montverde for sewer. They apply to DEP and say, we want to put on-site here. And DEP looks at it and says, yeah, you can do that. They never call us and say, do you want them to do that? Am I missing something?
Yeah, there's a lot of, the state rules are changing, and they changed again.
Could you pull your mic closer?
Yeah, just generally speaking, every 1 acre size lot or less, in pretty much most of Florida, let's go with the BMAP areas, will have to have at least an ATU, advanced treatment unit. Traditional septic tanks no longer allowed for new development. So to your question and the concern about the water resources, this will actually have the next level up, the highest level. That's basically not a sewer plant, DWTS, which will treat it at a higher level than an ATU, actually, and much higher than a septic tank. So that is about as good of an assurance outside of some municipal plant that you would build for protection of the water resources.
DWTS, what does that stand for?
Distributed Waste Technology Systems, or DWTU, Distributed Waste Technology Units.
It's a mini sewer.
Yeah, it's like each unit as a sewer is essentially a sewer plant in itself.
Okay, so you're saying each unit, as in each house will have that?
Either each, or they got it whatever way they engineered it, and DEP passed it.
So where does the wastewater eventually end up?
Just like an ATU or a septic tank, it's treated to the higher level, and then it actually goes into a drain field, which the drain field technology is actually a little different than your traditional septic tank. So it goes into a drain field, no different than any other. In that sense, it's underground and no different than any other septic tank.
So it's still being leached into the ground, and that ground is still part of the Floridian aquifer. So there are still issues with the Apopka Basin, and last I checked, the Apopka Basin values are worse than Lake Apopka. So it would seem to me that if you add this, you're adding to a problem that already currently
Right, but
exists.
we don't have the say. That's what I'm telling you. We can't do nothing about it. So a conversation about this is worthless here.
I'm more getting at the actual plan that has been put forth here. I know that the development likely would go through, but the number of homes and I guess the distribution of land.
Well, we made them do half-acre lots.
Sorry?
We made them do half-acre lots. That was our authority. We could do that, and the state approved it. So they wound up having to do half-acre lots for each house.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else? You sure? All right. Bring it back to council. Any conversations here? Go ahead, Joe.
So I have a question. We keep saying DEP, and my understanding, DEP has authority over septic technology, but not our land, or not our land development code. So I do have a question here for Anita. If we rewind back to the PUD, and I'm going to quote this one here, but did we explicitly waive section 4-378 or section 4-145 of our land development code regarding sewer and septic requirements? in that PUD.
Could you give me those sections again, please?
Sure. 4-378
Okay.
and sorry, and 4-145.
And while Anita looks that up, from what I recall from my memory of that code is it says that each development shall hook to a central wastewater treatment plant. If none is such available, they'll have to put a septic system in that meets the DEP guidelines or something along that line. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, basically each will have their own drain field and have a minimum 1,050-gallon tank individually.
Yeah, so recognize they're not putting in a septic system. These systems are not considered septic under DEP. They're actually classified as a permitted wastewater treatment plant. So we really don't have anything in the code, in my opinion. I'll let Anita comment on that that addresses that. Because it's not a septic system. It's technically a wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, that I understand. I still, I'm hung up on the terminology that each will have its own individual system. So again, I get that DEP has authority over the technology, but they still have to follow our land development code unless we waive that. I can ask other questions if you want in the meantime.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we're not just staring at you. All right, Paul, on 8th, 9th, Temple, and Osgood, they're classified as local neighborhood streets, not collector roads. If we're going to widen those, is that going to resolve the fact that traffic from this development is going to still funnel out to exits or town? I don't think it does. It's not going to change that. We're still going to put more traffic, which is going to cause still safety issues. And then I have a question about the pedestrian and bicycle safety measures. Did we ever get a study done for that?
I'll let Sean maybe answer. Obviously, the roads will still be, the collector road's 455 is the primary collector road for all the traffic.
Yeah, the town, you know, I don't know, what year was it, Mayor? I'm not sure, but I know you were part of this. We had the Montverde Walks plan. Keeping in mind that you can change a little bit here and there, but that was a map, if you remember, and you go into that spelled out or showed where areas where the town wanted sidewalks eventually and connectivity to bring them all to the trail. And was that contemplated during this design review process? From our standpoint, it was, and that's the larger wide walk, I believe, is a requirement. Normally it's 6 foot wide, and Paul, I don't want to, I want to make sure, but so I think there'll at least be one on each side of the road was the plan, right? Or one on one side of the road on each of the roads.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a wide walk to kind of take care of the pedestrian issues.
Correct.
Then the roads will be widened as well.
Yeah, exactly. Right now it would be unsafe, and you know we have said that throughout the process. Right. We believed that unless something changed, it would still be a safety issue for the roads. They're not wide enough. There's no sidewalks planned. That it would be a safety issue with only a 14-foot width in some areas, but that has been addressed.
Okay. Okay, because I know we asked, or I think another council member asked for an actual pedestrian study back in March. You know, and I don't think we have that, another study for that, but it would have been handy.
Well, I'm not sure if that was a part of the traffic study, maybe and maybe the applicant can speak to that, but if that was updated.
Vice Mayor Womack had requested that in March.
Okay.
A pedestrian study. I don't remember that now, but okay. And then I have another question in reference to emergency. With 137 homes coming there, what happens if one of those roads heading out of town is closed? How do we evacuate all of these extra people? What's the plan for that? Do we have one?
I guess I'm not following your question. So they would go out 455 one way or the other, correct?
Right, but I mean that's considerable more people in an emergency for that. I'm hung up on the safety of 2 roads for all of these additional vehicles and all of these additional people. And again, under Under our land code, it's section 8.7, the land development code, it's for safety, safe and adequate access. We're not going to provide that for our residents, not at this point. So I am hung up on that a little bit.
Yeah, fortunately, you have the fire, obviously the fire station will be, as soon as it's finished, at least up the road. So anyway, that's the benefit to the town as a whole for emergency. But the roads are going to be made wider. I don't know if you're talking about more right around the project, council member, or if it's more just 455.
In general, because again, the additional vehicles and people, that's a concern for me. There's just, we still, I was hung up on it previously as well. I'm still stuck on that for safety reasons. Just to see all these people, I just don't think we're going to have the same standard of safety that we have now if we have this coming in.
Is there some kind of like rule that you can state that says it isn't safety to point to, or is it just your opinion?
Actually,
Like,
I do have one here somewhere, but yeah.
And like something that says, we need this if we have that.
Yeah,
Do you know of anything?
Well, I mean, I guess my reverse is we're in an area with every road in the area is a substandard road according to our code, which is a safety concern with no pedestrian sidewalks or anything. So with the development coming in, they're actually should be creating a safer environment for everybody to walk and to move and to circulate in the area. I mean, that's kind of like we're expanding Lakeside as well. So the roads will be more than adequate to handle the traffic and the pedestrian traffic in the area. And I think they provided a traffic study that stated that as well.
I mean, eventually it'll be safer over by the development, correct? But
I'm sorry, say again?
it will be safer over by the development.
Well, it'll be
for
safer
sure,
for the whole neighborhood in the area, and just by having wider roads and sidewalks, there will be more traffic. I'm not denying that, but it will be safer. But kind of backing up, I just want to make sure the council understands we're at the preliminary site plan stage, and this is kind of stuff that the fact they can have this many homes, they have these rights now as development rights. So we're looking at the site plan itself. Is it consistent with what was approved in the PUD?
We still have our land development code, though.
Correct.
Right, and that's what I'm looking at, and you had mentioned that earlier as well.
So, in answer to your question, the definition of a septic tank is in the Florida Administrative Code, and how it's defined, it's not applicable to the system that they're going to be installing, and this town's code only talks about septic tanks. It does have language in it in the, it's what's permitted by the state Department of Health, but your code does not address the new technology. It still has language that says they have to connect to a wastewater treatment facility. If there's not one available, then they can do any septic tank approved by DEP. We really need to update your code because that's no longer permissible either.
So you're saying that our code would allow 3 homes to share one system?
Your code does not speak to it. What your code talks about is a septic tank. And a septic tank, as defined by the Florida Administrative Code, is not the same as the distributed waste technology system.
I have questions for the developer then eventually, but I'll yield time right now.
And just let me add too along those lines, and we'll look it up, but in the comprehensive plan, there is, discussion and policy about if, because this is in the Lake Apopka Basin, that, you tie up to some kind of advanced treatment system or sewer system for development, that is encouraged. We're trying to see if it says encouraged or if it's actually required, but whatever the case, they're still meeting that part of the comp plan.
Councilman Morganelli, can you explain, I'm a little confused over here. You said an emergency. Can you shed more light on the emergency traffic situation? What are you talking about? Because I have a scenario for you.
You have one for me, or you want me to give you one?
you're stating, I'm trying to understand what you're stating, that that would create a traffic problem if part of the town is shut down?
If you shut down, hypothetically, say, I don't know, I guess we're going to, hypothetically, I don't, something happens on 455 and you can't exit there in the middle of a tornado, hurricane, whatever, people, there's only one way out of our town, which is out that way, right, down 7th Street. So all those additional people, that's going to cause an issue, a big safety issue for us to get them out of our town efficiently.
So how would that be different than if there's a same scenario on Ridgewood and Mag Terrace only has 2 ways out and they're shut down? Safety issue. They're dumping now.
Where are you saying? You're saying
Ridgewood. Okay, Ridgewood, Mag Terrace, they have the same scenario, it shuts them down. How is that different than this scenario? I'm just trying to grasp how
we're not talking Ridge. I'm talking about Osgood.
But I
I'm
know,
not talking
but
about Ridgewood.
that's the same thing. If you have a catastrophic that shuts down 455, you have a catastrophic on somewhere on Ridgewood, and the residents, which will be the same pretty much volume houses that are on this project versus Mag Terrace. Mag Terrace can't get out. How?
I would be just as concerned about that as well.
Because we've got the same scenario. I mean, you only got 2 entrances out. You got Ridgewood. You either go down the hill or you come out. If you can't, then that creates going down the winding section to Fosgate is going to be a disastrous mess versus the same scenario you're talking about here. I'm just trying to understand.
For the third time, I'll answer it for you, and that is I'm just as concerned for that as I would be for over there as well.
Okay.
There are residents. They would be our residents. I would be concerned about any Montverde resident in this town if there's a safety issue that we have. And in that situation, absolutely, that would be an issue over there as well.
They can't get to Ridgewood at 455, so okay, thanks.
Two wrongs wouldn't make it right, though. That's right. That's my point.
I personally don't think there's a big problem with getting these people out of there.
Do you have any suggestions on what you would recommend to fix that?
You?
Do you have any suggestions on what you would do to fix that scenario?
Okay.
No, that's above my grade on that one. No.
For what it's worth for the conversation, I will let council know that our Lake County Fire Department carries chainsaws on their machines. The town Public Works has multiple chainsaws and grappler loaders on our equipment, on our brand new skid steer that can move a huge tree. And I think this last hurricane was evidence the town of Montverde was cleaned up and picked up and opened up. I think why all the other cities were scratching their heads of like, what do we have here? We had, we were still out here while we were under the hurricane warning, getting things, making sure everything was open for the town and driving through, making sure no roads were blocked within hours of when it was safe for the town to get through there. So.
No, that's fine. Joe has a good point from his point of view, but we have to talk as a council and say, okay, does this council think that that's a problem that we need to address? This is cut to the chase, right? We have someone that's concerned about it. Are you guys concerned about these 137 homes getting out of there if a hurricane's coming or whatever?
In my own opinion, if we face some type of mass evacuation, it's going to be chaotic if we have 200 people or 2,000 people. Maybe at best right now we could perhaps consider some type of evacuation route so that you don't have everybody pumping to get on 455 headed north. That's a possible temporary suggestion, but being that there's only 455 and basically Fosgate and Ridgewood, we only have 3 ways in and out of town, so it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters how you cut it. You're going to have a traffic jam, even with or without the Osgood property. I mean, I think right now the only subdivision that has an easy way out is Willow Ridge. But I would think possibly, evacuation rights, and we quadrant off the town, and these guys go this way, these guys go this way, and that's my thought.
How about you, Alan? Do you think we have a problem?
You always potentially could have a problem. I know you can be proactive to the point that you're overactive, but you can also be underactive, that you're could be a dangerous situation. But in the case of like a hurricane, historically we're advance notice. I think our state of the weather forecasting is to the point that if you know it's coming, you know, if you choose not to leave, then kind of shame on you. I mean, that sounds cruel, but we've seen that in our hurricanes and the coastals where you've been told, hey, this is coming. It's a category 4. It's a category whatever. There's going to be X, Y, Z. You need to get out while you can because there's potential that you can have road closures and all this good stuff that goes with it. I don't think it's. I have to agree with Councilman Womack. There's always going to be a potential, and we also now have the new Fosgate across the turnpike, which will be another unknown factor. Hopefully this month, what, 26, 28, something like that, it's supposed to open up. So that's another thing that's unforeseen on there. But you're right, we only got 3 ways in, 455, Ridgewood, and Fosgate, and they're all underdeveloped roads. So I don't know what we can do to solve that problem. Spend a lot of money that we don't have.
I personally don't think it's a problem at all, but how about you?
I don't think it
Grant?
would be.
I mean, I agree with what Councilmember Womack said as well. I mean, if we were going to do something like this in the future, to look at it, I mean, maybe quadrants, certain people go to a certain direction to get out of town if there was ever that, you know, event. But, I mean, there normally is plenty of heads up of a hurricane's coming. So, I mean, I understand an earthquake or something along those lines, but we don't really get those here.
Let's say that we all agree it is a problem, just to say it. What could we legally do at this point, Anita, if we thought that was a problem?
They have the entitlements under the zoning, the PUD to construct. They have to present a plan that meets with the criteria in the PUD, and in staff's opinion, the preliminary plat meets the conditions of your land development code and the PUD, and ultimately you make that decision, but we have found that it is in compliance.
Okay.
A quick question for you, Mr. Parks. In the event that, again, something unforeseen and catastrophic happens and we are like ants running to get out of town, what are the odds that if the situation warranted, that we could turn that new Fosgate Bridge into one-way travel, exit only? Is that a possibility?
I certainly wouldn't rule it out, but you know, the town is part of the county's emergency management team or system. The town with the cities address those issues together. So it's possible, yeah, that they, you know, could make that call to make it one way.
If I had to pick, once that bridge opens, I think that's probably the fastest way to get out
I mean,
of
to get
town.
people to the turnpike, I assume.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, it's certainly possible, and I don't know who the representative is from the town, if it's the mayor or whoever that goes to emergency management. But there's how that works is at our emergency operations center, EOC, in the county. The cities are part of that. There's a planning policy meeting that usually takes place when a storm is looking like it's going to come our way. That's 4, 5, 6, 7 days out sometimes. That would be the time when you start strategizing and saying we need to get the town of Montverde and Mineola might agree and say we need everybody funneled towards this exit to get out. That could absolutely be a call that they would make. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So where do we go from here? Okay. You got anything else, Joe?
Yeah, just to clarify, so staff and you guys are saying that this 100% right now, as we're looking at it, meets our land development code.
It meets the code and consistency with the comprehensive plan as was approved by the PUD.
Okay. Are they going to need more variances to it going forward?
No, I mean, they haven't asked for any. No, that would be too late.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we do have an answer for your question too. I didn't want to leave you without.
And on the variance, if they need another variance, they have to amend the PUD. The whole PUD has to come back.
Yeah, it would open up the PUD process again. So you know,
I do have a question for the developer that if they want, and that's in reference to the DWTS system. Is it going to be 3 per house, or is it going to be 1 per house?
And as he's coming up, Councilmember Morganelli, let me just answer your question. Policy, for the record, policy 1-3.8.2 compliance of sanitary sewer septic tank systems with state regulations. All developments, this would certainly classify as that, serviced by sanitary systems shall be governed by applicable state administrative regulations.
What was that number again? I'm sorry.
Policy 1-3.8.2. So what that's saying, of course, is that their DWTS will be in compliance with the state regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Brian. Did I turn it off? No, I didn't. You just got to get really close. Brian Ashby, 6876 Marwick Lane, Suite 350, Orlando, Florida. I think this is better to actually hold. I feel like I'm too close to this thing. So to answer your question, right now, so we have we're actually working with a DWTS designer and consultant. Based off the layout that we have right now, it varies between 2 lots per DWTS system or 1. That's the current layout that we have right now.
Okay. The only reason, and the reason I'm asking is back on January 14th, you had stated it would be 1 per house. You had stated that on January.
If that was stated, and I don't recall that, the layout that we have right now is 1 or 2 homes per unit, and they are sized appropriately depending on the amount of lots that are being treated by each one of the DWTS units.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
That it? Okay, anybody else have something they want to talk about? Can you do me a favor and, Paul, and describe what we're supposed to be doing today here? Or maybe Anita, or even Sean.
Preliminary plat approval is a quasi-judicial action, and so what you're doing is you're looking at the PUD document, your land development code, and you're comparing it to the plan that was presented. If it's consistent with and it meets all those requirements, then they would be entitled to an approval. If you find that it doesn't meet the criteria, then it could be approved with conditions, and you would outline what those conditions are. For example, if they didn't show sidewalks and your code says it has to have sidewalks, then you could approve it subject to them revising the plan to add sidewalks. If you find that it doesn't meet the criteria in your land development code or your the PUD that you approve, you could also move for denial.
So our professionals, you and Sean and Lisa, are saying that it meets the code, meets the requirements.
Correct. We have reviewed it. There have been several iterations of it. We've gone back and forth with comments, and they have submitted this plan that's before you tonight that meets the requirements of the PUD and your land development code and your comprehensive plan. We have found it to be consistent.
Right. And I don't know enough about it where I have to, look at it and say, looks right to me. That's all I can say. So I have to go by Sean, Lisa, and Anita. You guys got anything?
I had one other question. If I don't agree, I'm able to still vote no on that? If I don't agree that it meets the criteria?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so where do we go from here, Anita? All right, well, if anybody's comfortable with all this, motion for your deny or motion to approve.
I'll make a motion for resolution 2025-179 to be approved as a preliminary plat.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. I need a second.
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay.
Nay.
Okay, ayes have it. All right, let's move on to our next discussion and action items. We got discussion on community building, and Paul's going to tell us all about our community building.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I believe, and I hate to say with all the construction hectic, I'm not sure if I got everybody out to the community building site, but I believe I did. As you know, we've been talking about our community building over the last 9 months. We have it closed to general public except for some very limited activities that are small activities for some meetings. And just the condition of the building has deteriorated to the point where we don't feel it's safe to continue kind of as a large gathering place for the community, from the kitchen that has been sinking in the back and the holes from extensive termite damage on the kitchen area to the unsafe glass in the windows for large gatherings. What I'm bringing you is a plan for a recommendation. Our community building is historic and probably will stand if we, for a while longer, if we don't heavily use it. And it has a lot of history, which we must take into consideration with the town. What I would like to do is and we have a lot of our electric systems that run the whole park are hooked to that building too, and we also have some good bathrooms that are on there that are accessible from the outside. I would like to propose to the council that we keep the existing Glen Burns Community Building as is and set it up kind of as a limited access museum with maybe displays that could be seen through the window or walk through for some of the larger stuff that we have in the town, such as we have an old snapper mower. I believe there's a big, huge lightning rod that got brought in here the other day. That could be another place to display it. And that we construct a new community building that would be just slightly larger on the big grassy area between the parking lot and the community building that would resemble the look of the old building, so it fits into the character of that area. And that community building, that area is kind of an important area because it does hook onto the park for birthday parties, for gatherings, and it also serves as a place when there's funerals for families together to mourn a loss. Luckily, there's two options. If we went and rehabbed it, the existing one, we would have to pull those funds out of general fund. In our new impact fee study, we did account for a new community building in the impact fee study where we can use impact fees to build a new building because it is a new building. And so we can use development impact fees to pay for that. I think that's all I have. I know I've kind of talked to each of you individually and just kind of walked you around and showed that to you. And if I haven't, please get with me. I apologize if I missed you. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I just kind of want to see, as we're working on developing the budget, I just want to see for next fiscal year if that's something you want to include in the budget.
So you're saying build to the left, that's how I understood it.
Correct.
And then a couple thousand square foot. And use that for now for the community building. I personally like the idea, but I also like turning our fire department into a big community building eventually.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm not taking that away from that, but
Okay.
I still think even with the larger one, having a small one, larger is a whole different operation, but having something to serve our...
I just wanted to put that out there while we're talking about community buildings.
Yeah, agree with you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, just out of curiosity, if we rehab the current community to make it quasi-small museum type of thing, and we look at building the new building, what's your time frame for being able to have medium-sized community gatherings in that building?
If we started next fiscal year, see, John, we can, 6 months we can get that thing up?
Because, I mean...
Yeah, we'd have to architect and permit it, which takes about 3 to 4 months. Potentially it would be open probably no later than the next fall. Maybe sooner.
It'd take a year.
A year?
Yeah. Paul, worst case scenario, we do nothing. What happens to the building? Does it start to deteriorate? Windows crack, become a really public safety issue? I mean, you've shown me,
yeah.
I can't speak for the others, but you've shown me the disaster and what's going on in there, and I have to agree, it's not safe for human traffic of we used to have in the present past. So
correct. My concern is the large amount of people in there. I think with the kitchen blocked off, the middle part could still have some limited traffic, which I'm allowing right now through that building. The concern is obviously there's old lead plate glass on there. If you know, a kid fell through that and, you know, it just becomes an artery break. And so I have just concerns about that. But I think we'll get several, you know, hopefully a couple more decades out of the building where at least it could still be there to be a part of our community, as part of our history, if nothing else, just to look at it as a building, because it is an important history of the old, you know,
We
fish
spent
camps.
$50,000 on the foundation, leveling up the middle of
Correct.
it. So we
Correct.
didn't do the back because it was rotten, but we can, you know, we can cut the stop from anybody from going in the kitchen.
Well, we were looking at it too, the demo, you know, if you went the route of demo the existing one, we have good bathrooms that are still hooked onto it.
Yeah, they're
and
good.
all the
Mhm.
electrical that's going to that, it would add a huge amount of expense to demo. So I kind of like spreading that out. You know, if that was done, it could be something that could be done when it has to be done down the road.
Is there a demand for 2 community buildings?
Yeah, we're still, I think there would be, and, you know, I kind of come back to, you know, one, we can do this with impact fees, which is nice, but there's still that need for that smaller group area. The issue I think we're going to have on the larger building, in order to recover town cost and time for the larger building, and the rental is going to be probably significantly more. You know, we give this almost, I won't say free, but it's like $30-something for our residents to use. The other buildings going to have such a large cleaning fee and things along that line. It's going to have to be more geared toward a larger event or activity.
And what would the maintenance cost on something that size be? And how many square feet were you looking for on the smaller one? And then what's the square footage of the firehouse?
Oh, I didn't bring that. I was looking at probably about 40% larger. Do you remember, John, the square foot of that? I know we've measured it. The old one. Do you remember the square foot off the top of your head? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, you know, look at maybe 2,500 to 3,000 square feet.
For the fire station one, right?
Oh, the fire station? Oh, yeah,
I mean,
that's
5,000.
Yeah, that's 5 plus the 1,000 we added onto it, so it'd be more than double that size.
Yeah.
So there's no annual maintenance cost you think would cost to maintain that building once it's built?
Say that again?
What do you think the maintenance cost per year would be
On the new one or the old one?
if you were to build a new one?
350.
Well, we'll end up putting a metal roof on it. It's going to be a block building, so mainly air conditioner, so a few $100s a month.
You said it was going to match the existing aesthetic of the current building.
Correct.
So you would do block with hardy board siding over it?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah, that would be the only way to go.
Well, we want it to look just like the other one, I would think.
Yeah, the only difference is the bones inside. The
Right.
bones will be a little different. We would have we want to put block bones in it, so we don't have to have the termite damage or things to worry about. It'll be a little sturdier to hold up, but we would use siding, the hardy
Yeah,
board
you
siding on it to have
And
that
make it
same
look
look.
the same, yeah. You'd
Correct.
block it, but, yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah, the only difference I would propose is a metal roof,
Yeah.
but
For both of them.
really that's probably true.
So I have a question. The last time this was brought up, you were sort of on the side of tearing it down. So I'm sort of curious what changed your mind to now let's build a second building.
Well, we were going to tear down and replace. And so really it was after listening to council, just a new thought that popped in, because we started to think about once you start looking at the electrical, we have 3-phase power going to that building. And there's 600 amps of service, and all that would just be sitting there. So that would be a pretty good cost to sit there and rebuild that whole electrical system, plus the demo cost that would be involved in it.
Yeah, and the
So-
bathrooms were added on. The bathrooms,
Yeah.
the whole bathroom section about 20 years ago was added on.
Yeah, so the bathrooms are pretty good, but you know, there's still a use. I think just the building itself has some historical value for the town, which that's something that's nice we can preserve, and we can utilize it in a way that we could still exhibit some of the town history in it.
But you said it's fallen apart.
The kitchen area is in pretty bad shape. Yes.
Okay.
The rear wall.
Yeah, the
and-
rear
and
wall.
walls- the floor's been going down because we put some big, heavy kitchen equipment in there probably 7-8 years ago.
And there's termite damage in there as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
And there was termite damage on the 50,000 we just spent, but we fixed it.
I mean, its days are limited. It's going to happen at some point where it's going to have, something's
be
going to have to be
99.
done. But
And
right now our residents will have a place to go. So I guess that's the bigger concern of like this would
we
kind
have
of.
the gathering.
What's that?
We have the gathering they could go to.
That's true.
To follow up with what you mentioned in reference, you say there's a need for this, a second building, a second community building?
Well, it would be the only community building, because right now we're not utilizing the one that's there.
He had asked if there was a need for two buildings. Is that what you asked, right?
Well, Groveland's population is about 28,000. They have 2 community buildings.
Right. Okay. So,
Yeah, I think he was referencing when we changed the fire station over, if I understood your question right.
I mean, or, for example, is there a way to put a divider in the middle of the fire station afterwards so they can only rent out half of it if they wanted to? Or you could have 2 events going on simultaneously instead of building an entirely new building? I mean, I'm just trying to save the town a bunch of money on,
I mean, it's possible, yeah. I mean, you could make a smaller community building in it and use half of it for something else. I mean, there really has been no plan to, when we added the space on, I added a commercial kitchen onto the back that the fire department's using. So the thought is we would have that commercial kitchen. Eventually, the council's going to have to move over there for some while when we have to look at rehabbing this place at some point. So that will be some of the space that'll be used. The post office has already started conversations with me that they're going to need some more additional square footage in that building over there as well. They can't give me a number because, I don't know if they're talking a couple hundred or 1,000, but that's something they would like to see because they're running out of room from the growth in the area.
another concern I have is, do we really need another project on top of everything else we have going on? You already are struggling to keep up with everything, and now we're going to add yet another project on top.
Yeah, I mean, the good news on this project, that's why I've kept a part-time employee for construction manager on next year's budget for a project like this or the other little projects that may pop up. Obviously, I wouldn't have to be my part would be the architectural bid part. Then from there, I wouldn't have to be involved like a library where there's a lot of selection choices because this is going to be a pretty well open square building. So.
Okay.
It'd be a lot easier to build a new building than to rebuild the old one, that's for sure.
Well, from my perspective, so this is my perspective, if you build the additional new building, you're going to get an energy efficient building, number one. That'll be a lot more efficient than our existing Glen Burns situation. It just makes sense from that point of view. And prior to that, we always had big gatherings. You're limited on the size. There's there used to be in years past, a tremendous amount of small gatherings, 20 people, 30 people. That's perfect for that. And then, we're not to the point where the fire department situation, who knows how long that's going to take. Yes, I am concerned about budget, so just don't jump me on that. That's taxpayers' money, but I think this is a situation that when we have public hearings on it, we'll get to that point, we'll get impact one way or another. We'll get comments from the citizens, yes, do this, don't do that, and that's where we need to go. I mean, we're not the town is us. So you'll get impact from those people telling us, whatever, and then we can go from there. But kind of the cart ahead of the horse in a sense, but you've made us aware of it, Paul, so thank you for that. I mean, it like Joe Weinkoop has said, Mayor has said, it's sooner or later something's got to be done. So we've always been visionary, so I say we can continue to be visionary until such time.
So, if I'm correct, it's going to go in the grass area. Is that what?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And no one thinks that's going to look ridiculous? I'm just going to be honest. Thank you. I mean, you have 2 buildings, right? That's going to look ridiculous.
How wide would that need to be? We're trying to do 2,000 square feet. It's only 25 feet wide and, super long right there. I guess they only get 2,000 square feet.
No, I mean, there's more room in there than what appears in the picture.
Yeah, that's too narrow looking, it's bigger than that.
I mean, that's Google Maps from their little thing on top of their camera, so sorry I didn't get a chance to go out
We
there and take a
walked
good
it.
picture.
You could put a 2,500 square foot building in there pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too, that needs to be turned 90 degrees, so you're looking at more the parking lot side on the west
Yeah.
side of it instead of here. It's kind
But
of
it's right next to a park. It really just is going to look, I'm sorry, it's going to look ridiculous. It absolutely going to look ridiculous. But
What are we trying to do tonight?
No, I just wanted to throw it out and create a discussion. So next week we have a budget meeting, so that would be the time you guys could decide if you want to put it in the budget or not, and that would be the authorization to do it or not. So I just want to have a discussion, see if you had any other information you want me to gather on it, and we can go from there.
So we got to forecast the impact fees.
Yeah, Maya and I have been working on that today, so we'll have hopefully later tomorrow or for sure by Thursday kind of have.
So hopefully the economy doesn't go bad.
Correct, yeah.
What's the cost if we repaired the old building?
It's still small. I've played about 6 million bingo games in there, and it's small. What do you get about?
You gotta start
35
charging
people
more
in
for
there?
them.
Huh?
You gotta start charging more for them.
I hear.
Start charging more for the bingo games.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, our issue, we went out there with the contractor. It's kind of one of those things when you start, we have put about $60,000+ in it in the last year, and we're kind of back where we started. Looking at that back area, the contractor that we went out there is like, it's going to be tons cheaper just to tear the whole kitchen off and then try to rebuild back onto the existing building. The issue, once you start tearing off, you get to that percentage where we're going to have to get designs on it. Then you get a certain percentage of the building you add on to. You have to then bring the whole building up into code. Getting this into code with ingress, egress, fire is going to be interesting. It's just a bottomless pit, I think, is where it's going to end up at. We can do it. It probably wouldn't cost any more. It'd probably be a little bit cheaper maybe than putting a new one, but that would be general fund money, not impact fee money, because it's not an expansion of
That's the
services.
problem. It would be all general.
Well,
fund.
we
Which
made
is a
that,
different pot of funds.
you mentioned bring it up. How far do we bring it up? That's my question. I mean, do we go first and goal, we go to the other end zone, or we go to the 50-yard line? That's a big, how much do you do kind of approach?
Or can you do a little bit at a time? Like, one year you just focus on one part of it, put some funds towards that. Like the windows you're talking about, maybe do that first. We put a little bit of money aside for that, and then come back and put some more money later on down the road towards repairing
I mean,
the entire thing.
the problem is if you do the windows, it's not taking care of the termite foundation issue. I mean, I guess elephant in the room is the kitchen area's got to be completely rebuilt off to that. The porches are cobbled together too. They're going to have to be rebuilt or concreted, and we kind of went down the road. But so you're looking at new kitchen area. The new floor has already been buckling because the building keeps moving, even though we stabilized it underneath. We're looking at windows. The roof is patched in areas, so we need a new roof on it. And I don't know what we're going to get into once we start tearing it apart of how extensive things could get or how out of line it is. It's served a purpose and it served its life. Sometimes you've got it's like kind of an old car, you can keep putting it into it, but and it has value to it because it's an old beautiful car, but on the reverse end sometimes it become a money pit, and I don't know. I'm just worried it's just going to keep jumping into that. And I would let my even though John works part-time, I let him to come up and give his honest opinion, kind of, because I know he was working with me trying to figure out a way to save it and this and that, and then we started looking at it, it's like, wow, what are we going to get into here?
So what we're discussing then is we keep the old building and we build a new building, right? Where's our insurance liability going to land with that old building if homeless gets into that or a kid climbs into it? And it's already, as you said, falling apart. I don't think we have a right answer for this one tonight, but.
How about we do this? Next week, we're going to do the budget thing. So in that, from now to then, once you guys go walk that and look at it closer and come up with opinions, you see where our discussion's going, and then come back ready to talk about it next meeting. Feel good with that?
I'd like to put Commissioner Parks on the spot from a point of view. The county has done a lot of throughout, historically, and you've been involved in some of those. Can you shed any light? Bottomless pit, yes. Quick, easy. What do you get into? Surprises? Is it worth it? I'm curious of your opinion, having dealt with situations like this. Because Lake County's had a lot of historical buildings that they built or refurbished and brought up to code, and you have a little bit more experience from a county commissioner as what it does to a budget. And if you'd mind don't being put on the spot, giving your 2 cents worth.
Sure.
to it.
I could not speak to the condition or about how much it would cost. nearly as well as John could, I'm sure. So, you know, as far as I would suggest that, and of course going through Paul, that you have, you know, as you're thinking about this, ask what the cost would be. I can only give you, for instance, with the historic courthouse of the county, being that it was built in 1918, I believe, and we decided to put the money into fixing that up. It was millions of dollars because it would, at some point it was falling apart on the outside. We had plumbing issues on the inside as well, because that's such a historic feature of the county. So we were willing to fix that up and keep the cost. I mean, it was worth the cost to us. But I think that's how that's done. It's just by using your experts to do a benefit cost analysis on whether to keep it or not, and then will you rent out the other facility to help it pay for itself at the same time. Yeah.
Would it be all right if we just wait and, okay, so let's do that and we'll move on. How about we move on to Montverde's sidewalk plan?
Sure.
I just want to talk general sidewalks. We're kind of developing plans for, it was brought up at the last meeting, we're developing plans for the 455 storm project that will include some streets and sidewalks in it. In addition, you know, we'll every year we try to, you know, as we talked about, maybe add some sidewalks in areas that need to get there. So just a very broad, just not going too much in depth. I'm not looking for much from council, but if you'll look up on the screens, I just kind of want to share this first map with you. This is Lake County's master trails plan as it relates to Montverde. That section 2, I think is that the 561A that's under construction now, Sean? I think that's correct.
Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah, it's a little bit turned, but that's how it was in the thing.
Yes,
yeah, so that's that new dirt road they're building as you go down 455 past Ferndale there. That they're building that has a trail connection on it. So the long range plan, the county originally was going to hook the trail into the trail that's in Montverde on 455, then that'll kind of hook up to the open land. And I think this plan's probably been sitting out there for 20 plus years, so I don't expect anything massive to happen in the very near future. I just kind of want to share that was a part of their master plan. This little map here, the little highlighted area, that's actually town-owned property. Our trail that runs up 455, heading from the business district up the Fosgate, goes about halfway up that area. And the town also purchased some additional right-of-way through there at some point, but the trail does not extend that far. So that would be an opportunity, even if we switch the trail over to a sidewalk, we got a little bit of right-of-way through there to kind of extend that trail a little bit further, just FYI, or extend the trail or switch over to a sidewalk through that area. The county is starting to, our engineers through the stormwater program are starting to go through the stormwater process of what 455 will look like and what they can do under the guidance of the DEP. And so this is just a match line section to show you going down 455 of creating some center island areas. They may be a little bit smaller, longer. They kind of have the road weaving through there, but basically dividing the road up in certain areas. Not necessarily that's how it's going to be. I know it shows a straight, solid line, but what we have to develop is a preliminary plan to kind of get some approvals so we can go to engineering with DEP. So one of the things we talked about is utilizing some type of center channel, center down the road. That would divide the road, which also would have some traffic calming qualities to it, but also using that center channel area as a stormwater collection area to better clean the water through that area. Part of that road also, part of that project takes some road improvements, the stormwater improvements up Highland. This is just a typical that we're submitting. We got to get somewhere to get DEP to approve a planning study for us so we can get the engineering. So on this one, it fixes and redoes Highland Road, and you see there's a sidewalk on the Montverde Academy side with a curb and gutter on that side where the water flows to that. Right now it's inverted to the center. This would be a inverted road that would go toward that gutter, then into the collection system, into the storm system. Part of this project, we're also working with Montverde Academy to utilize, maybe work together for some of the stormwater detention that they have in the back, and where we can maybe expand that for both them and us and make this a practical solution. And that just shows it going up toward the top there. So that road will get done. We're looking at, looks like we're going to have enough funds. They'll go ahead and turn and try to bring Lake into that project as well for something that may be a little bit different than what you see there. That may be more of a ribbon curve in that area, just depending on what their engineering shows with maybe a separate sidewalk. I just kind of wanted to show you some areas, like if you go down, don't pay attention to the width of the sidewalk. It'd be anything in between there, but this is a typical section, which would, for instance, 8th, 9th, and Kirkland, where you would have a road, possibly a ribbon on one side, maybe a curb on another. It could be a ribbon on both. There are some sections along 8th Street. What's the road? Is that Neil? What's the road that goes down toward Judy Smith's house, that where we got all the erosion? What is it? Neil, where, yeah, those areas we would look at having some type of, we would need some type of curb and gutter to help collect that water with storm inlet boxes. And so this would kind of just be a typical section where you would see a sidewalk on one side and either a ribbon curb or a raised curb. That would just kind of give you a look of how that would look for the traffic area to help with those safety things that we've talked about down 8th and 9th Street. I just want to let council know, and I just want to make sure no one has any major issues with it. Is it the State of Transportation, Lisa, Florida? Who's the people that are requesting it? So DOT is requesting, they would like to put a monitor on 455 on the trail, on our bicycle walking trail, so they can see the number of traffic. It's going to be permanent there for a while, so they can look at future funding for expansion of that. So they have a request for a right-of-way utilization permit. Normally, I don't bring right-of-way utilization permits to council, but I just wanted to, since this is kind of a permanent fixture, it's just going to be a pole with basically a little camera reader of some sort that just counts the traffic that goes by, so they can see what's going on the trails. Because this is a part of the national trail, the what? River to the Hills Trail master plan. So they really want to see kind of, is there traffic here? Is there justification for future money? Those kind of things. So if you have an issue with that, please let me know here in the next day or two. Get a hold of me and just kind of let me know if you have any issues with that.
And if I could just add, just a little more history on that too. Office of Greenways and Trails, you remember, awarded the grant. That's why they reached out to the town. It is through DOT and the state. Because there's no countywide consistent funding source for trails, they're asking for the trail counters, because if you're showing your traffic, it helps you potentially get, as Paul had said, more grants in the future. It's electric eye. So I know we get this. There's one that's in Claremont right now. Everybody walks through it if you walk by right there at the waterfront park. This is a smaller version of that. It doesn't read license plates or read you or your face. It's just an electric eye. There's no privacy issue with it, is what I'm trying to say.
So really, just visually, again, I don't have anything depth, just for the mind of the council, really what you should be seeing over the next 2 years, and mainly grant funded or funded by developers, is a sidewalk that will go from the roundabout up 455 and close to Fosgate, at least up to Long Ridge. So there'll be connectivity through those neighborhoods, basically all the way around our main corridor. 8th, 9th, and Temple Street will have sidewalks included in it as well. Sidewalk from Highland up to Lake Street, which would connect the Mag Terrace section. Then the developer would fund a sidewalk going down 455 toward Bella Colina to the end of their development, which would be close to the condos. And the developer of Bella Colina, when he brings that in, will require him to put a sidewalk on Ridgewood to go up to Lake Street, so the residents from there, if they can want to get out and get around town, they can get around town. That'll be 100% developer funded. So really in the next 24 months, we're going to take a pretty good stab at a lot of sidewalks in town. I know that's something a lot of residents have asked and have commented in the past. So and luckily with a lot of grant money, and every year I do, as you know, I ask the council to put a little bit of money in general fund so we can keep doing a little bit of sections of sidewalk connections in the places we can't get the grant funding. So just throwing that out there for you to digest. I don't necessarily need anything unless you want to comment now, but you're always welcome to visit with me, and love to have some additional input as we go through these processes.
Comment real quick. People are sending me pictures of the footers that are being built, so we probably need to check for nails and screws.
Okay. On Lakeside.
Yeah, I think that's Doris or something. I'm not sure. It's a corner they're doing, but
Gotcha.
everybody's sending me pictures of stuff. So you might want to run over there with a magnet or just walk it.
Yeah, the contractor's supposed to start magneting all that, so we'll see how it does. I've chewed their bed out twice, and I hate to, might have to get to a stop work order and force the issue at some point.
All righty. Anybody got anything else?
On sidewalks?
Well, Paul, has the town had any problems at the League of Cities convention this past week? One of the discussions was e-bikes and scooters and how they're using them and utilizing them, which doesn't really apply to our town, but I think Grant and Carol, we three of us sat in on that. We heard all kinds of horror stories about trails with e-bikes. People are walking and they're so quiet that you don't hear them coming up behind you, and people have had issues of like scaring my dog or right beside me. Have we had that in Montverde? Or the reason I'm asking is that a lot of the cities that I conveyed with town managers and so forth, they were kind of mixed, some yes, some no. So have we had a situation or anything like that where it's a problem?
Not with e-bikes or scooters. I mean, we've had some scooters down the middle of the road at 3 in the morning, kind of thing, coming from our local neighborhood down there, and but not necessarily with e-bikes. We do have people that ride e-bikes in town. I think everybody's been pretty polite and using good etiquette, I would say.
Well, usually if there's a problem, the 5 of us will usually hear about it through an email or a phone
Right.
call and say, I almost got run over walking feed food this
I
morning.
mean, it definitely could happen. And there are state statutes. E-bikes are allowed up to whatever 20 miles an hour or something on sidewalks, and after that they're considered, they have to be on the roads and things along that line.
Anybody else?
So in other words, we need to have our residents make a circle, keep walking around this electronic eye, so DOT will go, gosh, 12,000 people walk through here. We really need to expedite this project, right? That's a
Something
good
like
idea. That's a suggestion. Thank you.
Something like it.
All right, I guess
Thank you, council. Appreciate your time tonight.
we're all set up. But now next week, and we're going to do the budget, or next Tuesday? we're
Yeah,
gonna do the budget?
Tuesday at 6:30 we'll be doing budget, and we're close. We should have packets out tomorrow for you guys. Late sometime tomorrow. We just about got it done.
It's just the budget? Or something else? But stick something else on there, it's okay.
Okay, I think
Alright.
it's if it's anything besides the budget, it'll be something small and short. So,
Okay.
but I don't think I think it's just the second look at the budget with a couple minor changes from last time. So hopefully it'll be a pretty quick meeting.
All right, well, thank you. Make a motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Second? I'll second.
Go ahead.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Nay.
Oh, you said need a motion. not
Ayes have it.
motion.
Huh?
Did you say need a motion or you make a motion?
I need a motion.